The tyrannical rule of King Charles after the death of Queen Elizabeth. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022 marked the end of an era, leaving the United Kingdom in a state of uncertainty as her son, Charles, ascended to the throne. However, the optimism that initially surrounded King Charles III's coronation has slowly given way to a growing sense of unease, as his reign has been marked by a series of controversial decisions that have left many questioning the future of the monarchy. In the aftermath of the Queen's passing, Charles was swift to assert his authority, moving quickly to consolidate power and reshape the institution of the monarchy to align with his own vision. One of his first acts as king was to push through a series of constitutional reforms that granted him greater executive powers, effectively transforming the role of the monarch from a ceremonial figurehead to a more active and influential political player. This shift in the balance of power has not gone unnoticed, with many critics arguing that Charles has overstepped the boundaries of his constitutional role and is dangerously close to establishing a de facto dictatorship. The king's heavy-handed approach to governance, coupled with his apparent disregard for the will of the people, has led to growing calls for a more democratic system of government. One of the most controversial aspects of Charles's reign has been his approach to environmental policy. The former Prince of Wales has long been an outspoken advocate for environmental conservation, and many had hoped that he would use his position as king to spearhead a sweeping green agenda. However, his actions have thus far fallen far short of these expectations, with the monarch instead choosing to prioritize the interests of big business and the fossil fuel industry. This has sparked widespread outrage, particularly among younger generations who have grown up in the shadow of the climate crisis. Protests and civil disobedience have become increasingly common, with activists staging sit-ins, blockades, and other forms of direct action to demand that the king take more decisive action on environmental issues. Charles's response to these protests has been heavy-handed, with the monarch ordering a crackdown on dissent and the deployment of riot police to quell the unrest. This has only served to further erode public trust in the monarchy, with many now viewing the king as a tyrant who is willing to use force to maintain his grip on power. The king's heavy-handed approach has also extended to his handling of domestic and foreign policy. He has been accused of meddling in the affairs of Parliament, using his influence to block or delay legislation that he deems to be contrary to his interests. This has led to a growing rift between the monarchy and the democratically elected government, with some lawmakers openly calling for a reduction in the monarch's powers. Internationally, Charles's reign has been marked by a series of diplomatic missteps that have further undermined the UK's standing on the global stage. His handling of the Brexit negotiations, for example, has been widely criticized as being overly confrontational and damaging to the country's economic interests. Similarly, his perceived favoritism towards certain foreign leaders, such as Russian President Vladimir Putin, has raised concerns about the king's geopolitical allegiances. The cumulative effect of these controversies has been a steady erosion of public support for the monarchy. Polls suggest that a growing number of Britons are now in favor of abolishing the institution altogether, with many arguing that it is an outdated and undemocratic relic of a bygone era. Despite these mounting challenges, King Charles remains defiant, refusing to back down in the face of growing opposition. He has doubled down on his controversial policies, vowing to continue pushing his agenda regardless of the cost. This has only served to heighten the sense of tension and uncertainty that has gripped the nation, leaving many to wonder what the future might hold for the United Kingdom under his rule. As the country grapples with the consequences of Charles's actions, the fate of the monarchy hangs in the balance. The coming years will be a crucial test of the institution's resilience, and the outcome may well determine the course of the UK's political and social trajectory for generations to come.